So Joe, let's start this way. Tell me the sort of the genesis of this idea, when you had it and what you had in mind when the idea became fully formed.
About a year ago, I wanted to, I mean, I've always kind of wanted to do something, you know, different on the radio. And then about a year ago, we were in some financial straits. People asked, to think of ideas that we could possibly bring in more money. And I just wrote a radio play. That was the first one. It didn't really go anywhere. And then I wrote another one. And I've always been, as you've known, kind of interested in what's going on in the UFO community around here. I've been fascinated by Area 51 since probably I heard about it when you uncovered it 30 years ago, back when I was in Wisconsin. And I just thought, War of the Worlds. And I thought, what if a reporter could actually get out there? And I just put the two together and wrote this thing.
So tell me the story, basically the outline of the story without giving away too much.
Yeah. It's that the military, I don't know if it's the Navy or the Air Force that operates Area 51. I think it's the Navy, Navy intelligence. They invited us to go because they realized they wanted to get rid of all these conspiracy theorists and people hanging out there. So they said, let's let one reporter go out there and let's do it with Nevada Public Radio because they cover a large part of the state. And we know them really well. And so they invite me out there. And I stop first at Rachel at the Alien, meet some interesting characters, and then we go from there.
So, all right, you write the script, you have the idea. What's the next step? Who else do you bring into your circle here?
Well, actually, I had to get Jerry Nadal, the CEO, to buy into it. He was basically gung ho. And then we were looking for sponsors because, the idea really was to sort of entertain Las Vegas. I mean, I thought of this before the pandemic. The pandemic came and it became sort of more important to think about ways to entertain people and employ entertainers here. But also if we could make any kind of money on it, because there is no underwriting today. It's just gone. So we tried to see if that would come about in any sort of way. And that's really not my area. So, but we tried it. It's been successful to a small degree.
So Jerry, tell me, when he makes the pitch, what do you think?
I bought into it right away because, the first thing I thought of was Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, right? Yeah. So this is what that kind of resonated with me. And I know, especially when Joe did the second script, which is the one we're going to be performing, there are a lot of performers that are out of work right now because all of the shows are shut down. And actually, it goes back before that. Before the pandemic in January, we were doing our Best of the City party at Jaguar Land Rover. And then Joe was talking to Michelle Medor from the Las Vegas Phil, mentioned that, what he was doing. She goes, "Ooh, that'd be great for us to get involved, but we could do the underscoring." And so then Joe said, "Hey, when the Phil kind of jumped up and said, hey, they were interested," I thought, well, there's something here really from a partnership standpoint. And from an underwriting standpoint, when we did our recent pledge drive, we asked for anybody that became a $365 a day member, they could be put into a drawing to be a walk-on role. We had enough people that kind of pitched in for that. It has completely underwritten the whole project. So this won't be a huge moneymaker, but for the first one out of the gate, I think it'll establish us, and then we're going to go from there.
And by the way, George, yeah. I knew Jerry was lit at that thing, and so I asked him at that point because I knew he'd say yes.
That's called hedging your bets, George, right?
Sounds like it kind of took a life of its own on it. Once it got rolling, it's like a snowball.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the entertainment value in it for sure. And then certainly now during the pandemic, when there's really a lack of entertainment generally, things have just started to come back, but in a small way. And like I said to you a little earlier, I think to get away from the election and COVID and, the 10 years worth of news we've lived through in the past 11 months, I think this is going to be a great little piece of escapist fare. And everybody will be home. It's around Thanksgiving. People are going to be forced to be home. So we hope a lot of people will tune in for this.
Of course, there's a musical element to this. So is that who approaches Jennifer to get her involved?
That was the people at the Las Vegas Phil. They looked, Donato Cabrera was in discussions with Joe and said, we have a composer, we have somebody here that we think could be great for this. And then Joe spoke to Jennifer, and we can let Joe and Jennifer talk about that part of it.
Yeah, we talked to Las Vegas Phil, and they went to Jennifer, and she's created like amazing music for it. But Jennifer, go ahead.
No, when I was approached about this, I thought that this would be such an amazing project to have at this time because, well, first of all, Joe, you've mentioned this a couple times, the radio theater drama is a lost art form. And I've always kind of imagined my music to be with visual elements or even under something thematic like an animation or some sort of a film. So when I got this opportunity, I this is just such an exciting experience right now. And so we've been working super hard, writing all the cues, and it's been um, quite a quite a ride or quite an experience.
So
Experience.
describe what you've composed, how it fits in with the script. What will people
Yeah.
see here?
So there was this piece that I wrote a while back that I shared with KNPR and I shared with some of the members from the Las Vegas Philharmonic, and they thought this idea or atmosphere might work really well with this. And so I ended up actually recomposing the entire piece. I basically just teared it apart and then I created a completely different version to fit this script specifically for five members of the Las Vegas Philharmonic. So I wrote for violin, cello, piano, percussion, and double bass. And now all the music is really just uniquely live from Area 51. It's specifically for Joe's script.
And it's going to be performed live by musicians from the Las Vegas Philharmonic.
Yes, yes. Rehearsals start this week.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, George, just kind of went from Joe's idea of, hey, kind of kids, let's put on a show like Mickey and Judy, to I'm like, well, there's maybe a little bit more involved in that. So we've pulled a lot of people into this, just from the technical elements, microphones, all the COVID restrictions about having people in the studio together. We've arranged with a doctor for rapid tests every day. So when everybody walks in the studio, they know that they're all negative, so that we're trying to keep it as safe as possible. And then it's just all the queuing that goes with this, having a stage manager and a director and just putting it together in a fairly short amount of time. That's been the fun and the challenge. It's a whole new world for Joe, right, Joe?
It's yeah, it's pretty unreal. It's tough, but I'm learning things like I'm learning different words, different things that I've never uttered before.
Theater lingo.
Did I hear you right, Jerry? You saying that you put out a call for auditions and the response is overwhelming?
We did, yeah. We've got, there were a lot of people in town that we started to just put on social media about it. And then Kate St. Pierre, who's directing the piece, and she's connected with UNLV's Theater Lab. She's done a lot of work with actors around town. So yeah, we put out 3 days worth of auditions with audition time slots, and it all filled up within a day.
So Joe, in a sense, maybe the COVID situation has helped. People are home, they want to do something fun and pitch in.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about it's like necessity is the mother of invention. We never would have done this or thought of it. I wouldn't have thought of it without the necessity a year ago. And seemed to become more necessary as we saw that people really need entertainment. And I think, in a way, this does fit the mission of KNPR, Nevada Public Radio, to benefit the public and benefit the society. I've gotten unbelievable response from here, even from people back in the Midwest. I think a lot of people are going to be listening, and it's sort of a relief.
So it will be performed live. When does it all come together? How will people hear it? And then after it's here, does it go across country?
It's going to be Wednesday night, the night, Thanksgiving Eve, 6 p.m. It's going to probably last about 40 minutes. And we're going to replay it on Thanksgiving, 6 p.m. the same time. And then it's not going to be available. We're not going to have it on.
Until I sell it.
Yeah, we're hope, you never know. Yeah.
So actors, musicians, everybody is in the studio. Is that KNPR and it's done live?
Yeah, we have a very large studio in the back. We're spaced out at about 10 feet each. There'll be 5 actors, 5 musicians. There's other people separated by us back in the engineering booth. And yeah, it's quite a challenge.
Is somebody recording it? Video? You're going to be able to include that?
We are going to have, yes, we're going to have a series actually of smartphones set up at different places strategically around, about 5 or 6 of them, and they're going to be going during the whole time, and then we'll edit it all together.
Jennifer, have you ever written alien-inspired music?
No, but after this project, I want to write more alien inspired.
But ideally, you'd be able to share this with stations around the country and then maybe.
Yeah, I think, like you pick up a lot of the programming you hear on NPR is produced by, WBUR in Boston, and then we have American Public Media out of Minneapolis. So there are different stations that sell different programs. So we have a number of people listening in. So we'll make this available to other stations, and then we'll take it from there. So that's where the money can be made on this, is if you produce a program that gets picked up by other affiliates.
Well, Area 51 is ratings gold, so people should love it. Assuming
Absolutely.
that it does well, you'd all be interested in doing more of them.
Well, that's my goal. I'd love to do at least probably 4 of these a year. Ultimately, we'll do them quarterly. I think that there's an appetite for it. There's no one else left in the system doing radio plays anymore. So I think it's something unique. It's kind of like, dinner theater was all the rage for a while, went away, and now it's coming back in different formats. I think that this has this kind of opportunity connected to it.
Anything else to say that our listeners should know about?
No, I think kmpr.org, or you can stream it, or you can go on 88.9 and listen to it on the radio, but we'll have it available on a couple different platforms.
Joe, I want to ask you, is this a ploy on your part to actually get invited to Area 51? Joe?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's better than, I've seriously had this idea, and I think I shared this with you once, George. And now it's even more probable because of robotics and computer technology. My idea is to create this cow outfit. They allow cows to go over the barriers. I would be inside that thing for weeks with like a cache of food, and it'd be robotic, and it would go along with the other cattle, so I could get closer and closer and actually see.
Maybe you haven't heard what aliens do to cows.
That's right. I have seen that. I've seen stories on it.
Well, great. Good luck with the production. I hope it leads to other things, and I'll be listening. I can't wait to hear it.
All right.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you so
George.
much, George.